Good morning, YouTube. Today is Friday, August 2nd. We are officially 6 days away from the real estate world changing in Pennsylvania. Luckily, we're here to help you along with it all. Good morning, Tom and Anthony.
Morning.
Good morning.
We went live today at 8:02 on 8:02.
Ooh, get to the lottery, get to the craps table, get to the roulette table. Bet that all day long.
The winner, 8:02.
Anthony's putting in his bet right now.
FanDuel.
Love it. Yeah, boys, we're a week away. We've been talking about on this show, I believe, since about May, these changes coming. So finally, they are here for us. We're going to get into it a little bit today of what choices buyers have, because buyers, agents, and buyers, they may not change anything. They may change a lot of things, and we'll get into it. That's going to be up to the buyer and the buyer's agent now, rather than just have a pre-negotiated, co-bundled commission package for real estate. So that's why it's changing. That's what the DOJ wants, and we will get into that shortly. But fellas, we had 7 months of garbage interest rates, 7 months of promises that we just didn't see from the Federal Reserve. And finally, it's taken 7 whole months. We are finally, put your hands together, back to where we started the year at interest rates. There we go. We're back to where we started. If you look at the candlestick chart, and I will pull it up here. Again, the candlestick chart, the left is beginning of the year. The right is today. As you can see, we're pretty darn even. We're pretty darn even. But on that right side, whoo, we got a lot of green. We got a lot of good days we've had in the last couple weeks. And that's what we want to see. Beginning of the year, bad. We don't like any of this. But this trend that we're seeing over here on the right side, Anth, that's what we like to see as loan officers.
Yeah, green is good, red is bad, and it's nice to see them come back to reasonable levels. So hopefully it helps a lot of buyers move in and get going.
Yeah, now, Tom, everyone gets excited. Rates are dropping. That's great news for everyone. But as we know, as Barry Habib always says, when rates drop, it's going to bring the buyers back, which means 100%. You're going to get into crazy scenarios. Might not always be the best news.
No, yeah, there's definitely going to be more buyers jumping back in after they hear this rumble through the news media with the rates dropping. So I do expect, the next few weeks to kind of get a little bit busier right before school starts. But I also think with the weird time that we are within our industry here, with how everything's changing with the real estate agents themselves, I do think it may stay a little bit slower, and people are going to be a little bit weary once the news catches on to those changes as well. So it's going to be an interesting ride here in the fourth quarter, I think. I'm not too sure what to think. We got the election. We got chaos. I can't turn on the radio or news or hear something about Trump or Kamala or something of that nature. So I think it is going to be a wild 4 months here coming up.
Definitely. And if the news says, hey, the Fed's dropping rates in September, you're going to have folks not really understand what that means. Maybe they're going to hold off to September. Maybe they want to hold off till after the election to see exactly where things settle. So you might have those buyers still on the fence. What I'm hoping for, if rates can continue to get down closer to, 6, is that's going to take some of these buyers that or sellers off the fence from listing their property, right? They want to downsize, they want to move, they just can't do it with the rate they have because they refinanced during COVID compared to where the rates are today, where even if they drop a little bit, it might be like, hey, okay, now's the time, let's make our move, and we'll start seeing some more listings pop up on that side of things as well.
Yeah, I think it's going to be I think everything's going to even out, to be honest, for a startup good next year, 2025.
But again, this is why there's not one topic that's going to change interest rates or help interest rates or hurt interest rates. It is the entire market. It's why it's not that easy to predict these things of where they're going to go. I mean, heck, even the Federal Reserve last December, they were telling us we were going to have 4, 5, 6 rate cuts here in 2024. We're in August. We've had 0 rate cuts, and we're just fighting our way back to where rates were at the beginning of the year to match now. So to say the least, the Fed was way off in 2024. Now, maybe the fourth quarter is better. Maybe we get a September and December rate cut. Maybe we pull 2 out of our butts here to save the year. But as of right now, not so much.
No, yeah, I think the main thing they want stability, heading into these next few months. And I think they're getting that with lowering these rates a little bit. I don't see them drastically dropping until next year.
Amen. So what we have to get into now, though, is these changes that are now coming August 8th in Pennsylvania. And it's the decoupling of the commission. To explain it one more time. For all of eternity, it feels like the seller has always paid both sides of the commission in real estate. That's just how it was. Now that's changing. They don't want the seller to pay both sides. They want the seller to pay their agent, and they want the buyer to also pay their agent. But it's not against the rules for the buyer to ask the seller to pay commission. In the new contract, as a buyer, you're still allowed to ask the seller to pay your commission. It's just not being pre-negotiated. It's not being coupled together. It's being you as a buyer putting your best effort, your best offer on that property and saying, Mr. Seller, will you accept this offer? It's nothing different. So, there's going to be 4 different ways a buyer can pay commission. So we're going to kind of do round table. And here's the beautiful thing of it. With these 4 ways, it's not all or nothing. You don't only have to use one method. Technically, and we'll show you this at the end, you can use all 4 methods in your one offer. It's all what you and your buyer's agent agree to. So, the first way you can pay commission is just put it right in the contract like you've always and ask the seller to pay for it.
Yeah, I mean, you could put it in the offer and ask for seller's assist. And I think that's where there's so much confusion on the real estate side of how this is going to work. A lot of people are in their own heads, but when it's all said and done, it's always going to be whatever's going to net the seller the most. So whenever they're putting it in their offer, whoever's got the best net is probably going to be the winner. But yeah, they can ask for seller's assistance by building that into their offer for what they want to make on that specific home.
And here's where we got to verify, because a lot of agents keep calling me and like, Ryan, so now you can't get the commission paid for and 3 or 6% seller assistance to help with repairs. No, that is absolutely incorrect. There are 2 different sections in this contract, if I'm not mistaken. One section is for you to ask the seller to pay for the commission specifically.
3A.
Other section, yes, Tom.
No, I said 3A. That is 3A, section 3A.
3A. He's a freaking expert already.
3B is the next one you're about to say.
You take it away.
3B is the normal seller concessions in the IPCs that we are under through Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, as well as the HUD. So those would be where the normal concessions go that you're typical of asking. They added section 3A to ask the seller to pay commission. It's going to have to be your best offer. You're going to have to think about what offer you're putting in and know what the seller is going to net, like Anthony said. Whoever's netting the most is going to win. So you have to know how to put in your offer. I mean, we've been having people over the last 3 years pay for commission buyers, how this is going to work. And that's how they were winning multiple offers. A lot of agents were already doing this the way that everybody wants us to do it now. And they were winning multiple offers over the last few summers every time they were putting one in. So I think it's a good change. I think it's going to level the playing field for everybody and make you put your best offer forward.
So that's it. It's very simple. 2 different ways, 2 different places in the contract to ask the seller. It can be 3% commission. It can be 3% seller assistance on a conventional. If they're putting 10% down on a conventional, you can ask for 3% commission, 6% seller assistance. It's allowed. Now, of course, the seller has to agree to this. So that's why you have to work with your buyer's agent to make sure it's all correct. Now, Anth, maybe the seller is like, screw you, I'm giving up nothing. I'm the greatest seller in the world. But you still, buyer, need to pay for your buyer's commission. But you don't have the funds to pay because you got closing costs, you got down payment. There is a lender credit option, right? That you can get from the lender to cover some or all of this. So let's go over that next.
So the lender credit is basically when the buyer's strategizing with their loan officer of choice. They're reviewing options. Of course, they're reviewing one of the options to build that into the interest rate. So the interest rate will be increased because you're building that cost into the interest rate and basically paying it over time. Ultimately, you definitely want to talk to one of us as far as how this is going to structure, because not every lender is going to have the same rates. So if you're building it into the rate, lender A might be higher than lender B, and you want to make sure that it's working properly for you so that you are making this work.
If you need a lender credit, call Ryan, Tom, or Anthony. We will get it structured for you properly. There you go. So the 4th option is pretty much the simplest option. Pay your agent yourself. There it is. You sit down with your buyer's agent, you interview a couple agents, you negotiate the commission. You're in a position that you can pay it yourself. Maybe you have a family member, a parent that will potentially gift you some funds to help. So you have your down payment, your closing costs, and your buyer's agent commission. Those are the 3 possible items you might have to pay as a buyer now. But if you're one of those folks that can pay it, that's going to make your offer way stronger. It's going to allow that seller to net more, just like Anthony was talking about, and will give you a better opportunity to win that deal. On the flip side, if you don't have a ton of extra funds, that's okay. You're working with a real estate agent. They understand how to structure your loan. It may be a little bit more difficult to get an offer accepted, but it's not impossible. Every house is different. Every property is its own negotiation. And that's why you're working with the real estate agent to do that negotiating for you. So don't get down. Don't think you can't buy a home if you don't have all these extra funds sitting around. You absolutely still can. You just got to work with us. You got to work with your real estate agent to make sure it's structured properly so it works for you.
Well said.
There we go. We're rolling into next week. That's all we got for today. Don't forget, we do have the 111 program still. No one wanted to kind of talk about it before. We've been talking about it since, I think,
4 months. I think 4 months we've been talking about the 111 program, and it's an awesome program. I'm going to keep promoting it to everybody in my offices, to those agents. It is going to be 1% lender credit, 1% the buyer pays, and 1% seller's assist. It's a perfect name, 111. I think that, we got to get that verbiage out there to everyone.
Anth, can you pull it up real quick? So why this is so important, we talked about there are ways you can do kind of all 4 of the options. You're kind of doing it here. So you're going to ask the buyer, you're going to ask the seller to pay 1% seller assistance. So you're not asking 3, 6, 9%, 1% seller. Pick that up for me. You're having 1% lender credit put into your, you're going to increase your interest rate a little bit to get 1% lender credit. And then you, as the buyer, are going to pay 1% out of pocket. So in short, your agent will be able to get paid all the funds that you've negotiated with them, and you'll only have to pay 1% out of your pocket cash wise for the program. So that's what we've been talking about. That's what we've come up with here for the last couple months. We want to make sure we get that out to the masses because we are 6 days away.
111. Remember the name, baby.
If anyone has any questions over the weekend, give us a shout. We want to ease everyone's mind. Fellas, we'll see you Tuesday.
Later.
So, yes.